Hello, this is Gallifreyan Jedi, and I would like to welcome you to my YouTube channel. It's been a few weeks since I last did my last blog, which was on Doctor Who, or rather the top 10 classic Doctor Who stories. So, if you have not seen that yet, I encourage you to go there and watch it. I really liked that video. I put a lot of work into it. It's probably my longest blog yet. Hopefully today's blog will be a little bit shorter. It will be on the review, my review of a teaser trailer for Star Wars Episode VII, The Force Awakens. And I say this, it's better late than never, because it's been over a week since it was released. It was released on Friday, Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. And I'm probably late to the game because everybody else on YouTube who are science fiction fans and Star Wars fans have done their review. But like I said, it's better late than never. Plus, it's probably good because some of the stuff that I have been reading, be it that, spoilers and rumors, has raised some issues concerning the trailer. And I want to address those in the blog. But before I do that, before I discuss the content or what I found out about the plot and about the story and about the characters, what is rumored to come up in Episode 7, I figured let me break it down a little bit. The first part I want to do is break it down and talk about the basic content, what we saw essentially in the teaser trailer. Now keep this in mind, it was a teaser trailer. There's supposed to be another trailer coming up. Hopefully it will be released at the Celebration Anaheim in 2015, and it's supposed to be out in the theater. Hopefully the full trailer will be out in the theater by next summer, supposedly when Disney releases the Avengers 2, The Age of Ultron. They're supposed to show a trailer for The Force Awakens. The Force Awakens is the official title for Episode 7. So, but before I go into the details of what that is supposed to be about, and the plot and the spoiler rumors, let me just break down what we actually saw in the teaser trailer. Let's start out with the first thing we see. When the trailer opens, we see a desert, and it's just a blank desert. Most likely, it's Tatooine, but of course we don't know that for sure. It didn't reveal it as Tatooine, but it looks like the planet Tatooine. If you're familiar from all the other Star Wars, because Tatooine's a desert planet, so it kind of looks like that. So it's very possible the planet Tatooine that we see in this opening scene of the desert. The actor John Boyega, if I'm pronouncing his name right, is British. He's a British actor. We see him in a stormtrooper's outfit. That's the next scene we see in the trailer. We see him in a stormtrooper's outfit. His helmet is off, he's sweating, looks confused, and he's running around in the desert. So that's the next, essentially that's the next scene we see that. We don't know too much about what that's going on, but that's the next. So John Boyega, who is an actor, going to be a major figure in the next Star Wars movie. That's the scene with him in the stormtrooper's outfit. The next scene we see is a droid. It looks like some type of ball or somewhat similar to a soccer ball, but a droid. We see a droid magnetically connected to that, traveling into the desert. And if you notice, in the background in the past desert, we see is it's a pod racer. You remember the pod racers from Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, which Anakin raced with all those other alien beings. Well, that's a pod racer. Well, it's interesting. We see that. We don't know too much about what that droid's all about. But it's interesting I bring up that droid because from what I hear, it is, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but it's supposed to be connected with Daisy Ridley's character. Daisy Ridley is an actress, and she will be playing a human female. Most likely, and like I said, I'm getting a little ahead of myself because I don't want to talk about the spoiler content. Most likely, this, could be, she could be the Jaina Solo character from the EU, now termed as the EU Legends. But she might, even though she might not have the same name as Jaina Solo. She might be the daughter of Han and Leia, but I don't want to get too ahead of myself until I can get to the spoilers. But anyway, we know what I found out a little bit is that this droid belongs to Daisy Ridley's character, and that's in the next scene that we see in the trailer. We see Daisy Ridley get on a speeder bike in the desert. Again, most likely, if it's the same planet we're speaking of, it's Tatooine. It's in the Tatooine desert. She gets on a speeder bike and drives off into the desert. That's the next scene that we see. Let's go on. The next scene that we see in the trailer is we see a fleet of Rogue Squadron X-Wing fighters. And they're flying low over a watery planet. Now, it's interesting because we see the X-Wings. It's a little new design, and you would expect it because it's years later, many years later, that the X-Wings would have an upfit and a refit, have a little bit of new design. But they're flying low. Could that possibly be the fact that they're trying to avoid radar detection? Or so? We don't know. We just know it's on a planet. It's a very watery planet. They're flying low, pretty close over the surface of the ocean of that planet. And very possibly, this is just a theory, could it be the planet Mon Calamari? Remember Akbar, the Mon Calamari? That's his home planet. That's the name of his race and his home planet. Qumran, if I'm pronouncing that race right, they're more undersea. They're another another species that is native to that Mon Calamari, but they live underneath the sea rather than more on the surface as the main Calamari race does. But very possibly that could be the planet for which we see this scene. Don't know, just speculating. Anyway, then the voiceover, what am I thinking of? The voiceover host gives this description about the dark side. That the dark side is arising, and what we see is an apparent dark Jedi. We see the back of him, and he's walking into this wintry forest. And we don't know who he is. We know the actor Adam Driver. He's going to be playing one of the villains. I've heard some fans speculate that that could be him, and they were wondering, could it be the Darth Raven? Even though it might not be referred to him, but could it be the Darth Raven-like character that we have from the EU Legends? That is one theory. Another theory is it could be an Imperial Inquisitor, because there's some who have theorized that what we see from Star Wars Rebels, if you've been following Star Wars Rebels, is we have a pawn, the Imperial Inquisitor, in there, who is Force sensitive, but not a Sith, obviously, but somewhat like a Dark Jedi who's been trained in Jedi arts, and maybe Force sensitive, but he's there to hunt down, for the Empire, he's there to hunt down the remaining Jedi that are in hiding. So some have theorized that we're going to have some more of these Imperial Inquisitors, or these type of Inquisitors, Jedi hunters, and maybe that's one of them. Again, these are theories. We don't know. But all we see is we see them walking in a forest. It's dark. It seems like very cold and wintry. We see snow on the ground, and of course we see that famous lightsaber scene where it has the two edges coming out of the saber. Again, the narrator of this trailer goes on to say, let me back up. Let me back up for 1 second. I don't want to. I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. One of the theories that we have is that we don't know the identity of this Dark Jedi that we only see the back of. But one of the theories that they had, that some fans have had, is that this wintry forest is Endor. And they think that Endor, one of the suggestions is Endor's in a nuclear winter. That, if you remember, when at the end of Return of the Jedi, when the second Death Star exploded, well, some have theorized that the exploding pieces came down into the atmosphere of Endor all at once and overloaded it, crash landed it into the crash landing all these pieces into the planet, or actually the moon. And just like what would you have is hundreds of thousands of meteorites hitting the planet. It would throw up all this debris into the atmosphere, blocking out the atmosphere and causing a nuclear winter, causing it into perpetual dark, frozen state, which would have killed off, obviously you assume, kill off all the Ewoks. All the Ewoks would have probably died off. That's one of the theories that fans are going around. Again, that's just speculation. It's nothing definite. We don't know. My personal opinion, it's not Endor. I don't think that happened. I don't think that happened with Endor. I don't think that Endor experienced. I think that when the second Death Star exploded, yeah, there was debris, but we're not talking about the debris the kind of size of comets or meteorites hitting a planet. So my opinion is Endor is quite safe. It wasn't threatened by a nuclear winter or damaged or destroyed after the second Death Star was destroyed. But that's my personal opinion. I think that this planet that you see here is another planet, an unknown planet that we don't know of yet, but that will be revealed when we see the movie. If that's just my 2 cents on that issue. The last scene is the narrator talks about that also the light side, and of course when we see the light side, the thing that we all recognize, the one thing that all of us as fans recognize, even casual fans who remember, who have seen the original trilogy, notice that when the narrator says the light side of the Force, we see the Millennium Falcon. Of course, we know the Millennium Falcon in the original trilogy was flown by Han and Chewbacca, and also Lando Calrissian in Return of the Jedi. So that is a ship that's, pretty much the good guys fly. So that's why it's referenced to. But we see the Millennium Falcon, instead of flying away in space, it seems to be flying high in the air over a desert planet. Again, assuming that Tatooine is the planet, most likely, if that is the planet that we're speaking about, that was shown in the beginning of the trailer, then most likely they're flying over the surface of Tatooine. And they're trying to dodge a fleet of TIE fighters. We don't know who they're about or what they're about, who they're connected with or whatever. We just see that scene with the Millennium Falcon trying to fly away from a small fleet of TIE fighters. And but pretty much that's what we get. Then we get the trailer logo. We get the logo for Episode 7, Force Awakens, which comes out in December of 2015. Okay, let me say this. I'm going to go off, which is really short, explaining what we know, which is really small, what we know for absolute. And then I'm going to go on with the rumors and the spoilers and talk about that. Okay, first, what do we know? In Episode 7, The Force Awakens takes place approximately 30 years after the events of Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. So that would be 30 years after Return of the Jedi. But calculated, you remember my blog on the Star Wars Expanded Universe, how I explained the time frame for the Star Wars universe is BBY and ABY. We're measuring years before the Battle of Yavin in Episode 4, New Hope, and an ABY stands for after the Battle of Yavin, the years after. So that would be 34 years ABY, 30 years after the Return of the Jedi, but 34 because when Episode 4, A New Hope starts, we're at the beginning of the Galactic Civil War. The Galactic Civil War took place approximately 4 years. So you add 30 plus the 4, which is at the beginning of A New Hope, and that's how you get 34 ABY. So that's what we know about Episode 7, is that it will take place 30 years after the events of Return of the Jedi, and the defeat of Darth Vader and the Emperor, and the destruction of the Galactic Empire, and the victory of the Rebel Alliance. All right, Now I want to go on to, because this is the reason why I was glad that I didn't do this blog right away, because I had to be, I guess I'm a glutton for punishment, and I had to give in to do some research on the internet about what the rumors are. And some of the rumors that I've read, spoiler rumors that I've read for the plot of Episode 7, are exciting. But there's one thing that is a little confusing, or a little concerns me a little bit, if true, which I'm going to cover here. But before I get into this, I just want to say that these, I want to put a disclaimer out there. First of all, if you want to go spoiler free, I encourage you, even though that I really like for you to watch my videos, I encourage you now to stop at this point. Stop this video from watching. I won't be hurt. I understand perfectly if you want to go. Some people want to go spoiler free. Technically, I do, even though I sound hypocritical, because I have found that all these spoiler rumors. But I do want to say that if you truly want to go spoiler free, even though these rumors might be false, you don't want to take a chance, you just don't want to hear anything about the plot for Episode 7, then I encourage you to stop this video now. And if you do stop this video, then I want to say thank you for watching this video, and please subscribe to my channel to get all the latest updates and future blogs. Now, for those of you who have stayed now, assuming that you don't mind to hear the rumors and the spoilers, so I will give this disclaimer before the second part of the disclaimer, in order for you to understand something before we get into these rumors. These rumors, as I'm saying, are claiming, somebody who claims to be on the internet, who works for Lucasfilm, who has read the script and who knows what's going on. You have to take that with a grain of salt, because we don't know. This is, the internet is crazy. I mean, we don't know who's on. Anybody can be on there. A Martian can be on there, as far as we know. Writing stuff up. So this guy could be the genuine guy. Yes, he could be the genuine guy, and giving all this plot info for Episode 7, or he might be some kook out there who's just pretending he knows everything. We don't know. But these are rumors, so I do suggest that, since they are not facts yet, since the official plot hasn't been released by Lucasfilm or by J.J. Abrams, that you do take it with a grain of salt with what I said. Let's talk about the plot. Like I said, we do know it takes place 30 years after Return of the Jedi. Let's start off with this. This is the stuff that I've read about the plot and the events that are going to take place for the sequel trilogy, Episode 7, 8, and 9. But let's talk about what was said for Episode 7, The Force Awakens. With Luke Skywalker being the last of the Jedis, the Force is supposed to become more potent than it's ever been in its entire history, assuming what they're talking about is the entire history of everything that we know of Star Wars. From the 6 movies, and from the Clone Wars, from the Clone Wars series, and also from the Rebel series. The Force becomes more potent because he's the last Jedi, so there isn't all these Jedis around anymore like there was during the time of the Old Republic. The Force becomes very potent, and it starts waking others up. Those who, obviously, the Republic, the Jedi supposedly are not going to be out trying to find others who have a high concentration of midichlorians and who are able to be trained as a Jedi. So not many people are going to know that they are Force sensitive. They're going to go through life without knowing that they're Force sensitive. But because of this potency during this time, is going to wake others up that normally would not know that they are Force sensitive. And they have no really knowledge to. They have really no knowledge to the Force. The knowledge of the Force. So anyway. John, and I think this is where John Boyega's character comes in, because we see him as a stormtrooper in the desert, maybe the Tatooine desert, like I say. And apparently, they say that he discovers these powers. He's going to be like the new Luke Skywalker for the sequel trilogy. But he's discovering these powers. And the scene that we see in that trailer, supposedly his TIE fighter, he's a stormtrooper, his TIE fighter crash lands in the desert of Tatooine. He discovers these powers. He gets the call from the Force, and that's where we see his confusion in that scene in the trailer. And he becomes a deserter, and the Empire is now hunting him down, hunting him down because he has deserted, and or whoever's in charge, the people who are in charge of these stormtroopers, shall I say? I say the Empire, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I'll talk about that in a minute. What I mean by the Empire, but he's a deserter, so they were trying to hunt him down. But he's going off to discover, after he gets a call from the Force, he wants to discover these powers, what's going on with him, and get some answers. Okay, now moving on, talking about Daisy Ridley's character. Like I said, what the rumors are is that she will be playing the Jaina Solo character. Her name's not going to be Jaina. It'll be something else, but she will be the daughter of Han and Leia. She lives on Tatooine, as you see her in all that garb to protect her from the Tatooine suns, and probably very harsh on a desert like that, so she's all covered. But she's Force sensitive. Supposedly she will be Force sensitive, and but she will play the Jaina Solo character, the daughter of Han and Leia, who's destined to become a Jedi, to be trained as a Jedi. She lives with a cyborg, that would be Max von Sydow's character. Max von Sydow, he's a veteran actor, very good actor. If you're not familiar with him, he played the main priest in The Exorcist, the first Exorcist movie, who the older priest, the main one that they got to exorcise a demon out of the girl. If you've seen the movie The Exorcist, well, that's the actor who played that role. Well, he's in Star Wars Episode 7. He's going to be playing a cyborg, so part of his humanity is still there, but it's almost like what you see in Darth Vader, or General Grievous. He's a cyborg character. And the interesting, we're not told too much, even by the person who's supposed to be leaking these rumors online. He's supposed to be a character from the prequel trilogy. But we're told he's not Darth Maul, he's not Mace Windu, he's not Darth Sidious, or Count Dooku, or any of the others that we can pretty much... it's said that if you're a hardcore fan, if you're a diehard fan, you'll definitely know who he is, but if you're a casual fan, you probably wouldn't know. So it's interesting, we'll find that out. But she's living with him on Tatooine. And they're collecting Jedi artifacts, which supposedly you will see is different artifacts of Jedi and Sith in their collection that come from the previous 6 movies, obviously, which will be Easter eggs for definitely Star Wars fans to see these things. But supposedly it starts off where this is where the rumors say that this is what this guy is saying, that she discovers on the desert, and I don't know how it gets there, but if it's true, if these rumors are true, I guess hopefully they'll come up with a good explanation. But if you remember, Luke Skywalker in The Empire Strikes Back, he had his hand sliced off by Vader in a lightsaber fight. Well, supposedly his lightsaber, Luke's original lightsaber, which used to be Anakin's, keep that in mind, finds its way to the desert of Tatooine. And she finds this lightsaber and knows that it's an ancient Jedi artifact. And anyway, after meeting, she meets John Boyega's character. And I guess he's trying to find answers. So between the both of them, between finding Luke's lightsaber and meeting John Boyega, they set off on a mission of discovery to find out, to get answers behind these clues, these riddles, these mysteries that have been, confusing them and trying to. They need answers to these things, what's going on, and some of the new dangers and new threats in the galaxy. So anyway, they set off on a mission of discovery. Okay, now we talk about Luke Skywalker. After the events, now this is what this guy says was happening with Luke, because Mark Hamill's coming back to play the role of Luke Skywalker. Actually, they all are. Harrison Ford for Han Solo, and Carrie Fisher for Leia. So they're pretty much all the actors who played the original characters from episodes 4, 5, and 6 that survived. Obviously not Obi-Wan Kenobi or those who've died, but those who've survived. They will be the actors will be portraying their characters from their original trilogy. But anyway, where we get up is after the events of Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, Luke supposedly goes into seclusion on this planet, and he becomes a hermit. Instead of becoming a trainer or a Jedi, a fighter, like you see in the prequel trilogy with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon and Yoda and Mace Windu, instead of taking that role, or Luke, as you see him take the role in episodes 4, 5, and 6 as he's being trained as a Jedi, he's more like taking the role of Yoda. He becomes more like Yoda as he is in Dagobah. Instead of being a fighter, he becomes like a sage, like a wise master, in seclusion, staying in seclusion. And he's been missing for 20 years, so obviously 10 years goes by after Return of the Jedi, where he's still with his friends, but then somewhere after that he goes off for 20 years, goes missing for 20 years. Supposedly he understands the potency of the Force, and decides instead of getting involved with the politics of the government, he feels the Jedi have failed that in the Old Republic, that they should have never have had their order be a police force and an agency for the government of the Republic. He decides to take the Jedi Order in a new direction, to seclude them so they can study the nature of the Force, apart from the New Republic. He supposedly has trained, in those 20 years, he's trained 7 Jedi. Yoda told him before he passed in Return of the Jedi to pass on what he has learned. So he supposedly has trained 7 other Jedi. And while he's in seclusion, he's studying the nature of the living Force. And he's supposed to really have become super powerful, which I don't know what they mean by that, but he's supposed to become like a very super powerful being in the Force. Of course, like I said, there's not too many Jedi around, so the Force becomes very potent in him, and he becomes super powerful in the Force. And he's afraid that he could be corrupted, so that's one of the other reasons why he doesn't want to get involved in the politics of the government. And he has a concern, too, also, according to the rumors, of a resurrection of the Sith, and he's trying to prevent that. But supposedly that he will come out of his hiding, or come out of his seclusion, when this new threat does take place, because trying to prevent the rise of the Sith. Okay, moving on. Okay, like I said, Daisy Ridley will supposedly, according to the rumors, again, according to what this guy is saying online, after she discovers Luke's lightsaber and meets John Boyega, they're going off on this journey. They meet up with Han and Chewie, so I'm assuming if they're all on Tatooine, they meet Han and Chewie on Tatooine too. Especially Han would be there. From what I heard, that Leia will remain on Coruscant because she will be the main leader. She's supposed to have been the main leader for the past 30 years for the New Republic. But anyway, Han and Chewie are there. And so when Daisy Ridley's character brings the lightsaber to Han definitely recognizes it as Luke's lightsaber. And from that, Daisy Ridley encourages Han and Chewie to take them off in the Millennium Falcon to go find Luke, to get the answers that they're seeking for. Now keep in mind, I'm probably leaving a lot of loopholes and you're probably confused, and that's fine because I haven't seen the movie. I'm just telling you what the rumors are saying from the guy who, quote-unquote, read the script and telling it. Now all this could be BS, but we don't know until we get the official statement from J.J. Abrams or from Lucasfilm on what the official plot will be for Episode 7. But I'm anxious to know, because some of this stuff does sound interesting. But I'll get to some of my concerns in just a few minutes. Now, one thing I also want to mention is Daisy Ridley resents her Uncle Luke because he went into seclusion. either when she was very young or before she was born or whatever. But he went into seclusion and he didn't train her as a Jedi, so she's very resentful of that. But they're going off, and I think that's what the scene that you see with the lightsaber. I mean, excuse me, with the Millennium Falcon flying over the desert and the TIE fighters chasing them. They're going off, trying to leave and escape to find Luke, to find out where Luke is at and to get some answers to their questions. Okay, this is the last point that I want to want to explore, and this is where what concerns me. All the other stuff does sound interesting, and even some of it very exciting, especially as they're going to explore more of the mythology of the Force and get into some of the nitty-gritty and the details of the theology of the Force and what the mythology is and stuff like that. Maybe we can learn some answers and get more answers, and just like what we're seeing with the Clone Wars. Have you seen the Lost Missions, which I'm going to do a future blog about, on the Lost Missions with Yoda's discovery on the nature of the Force, but I'm not going to cover that now. I don't want to get sidetracked now. But anyway, like I said, that stuff would be exciting to see in the new movie, in the new trilogy, the sequel trilogy. But there is one element to these rumors that I read which greatly concerns me. Well, let me explain what it is, and then I will tell you why it concerns me. Okay, what the guy says, what this guy online says, what the rumors are saying now, part of the major plot. That at the end of Return of the Jedi, that although the Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader are dead, the Empire still continues to exist and has been waging war with the rebels or / New Republic. Now there's some who have written up and disagreed. Some say, there's been a New Republic established. But there's also some who say, no, there has been no New Republic have been established. These are still the rebels, the Rebel Alliance, fighting with the Empire, because the Empire still exists and it's been fighting a war of attrition with the rebels for the past 30 years. And they're still at war with the Empire by the time Episode 7, The Force Awakens, begins. Now the thing is that I know some people are still excited about that, but I have some problems. I mean, first of all, a war that's been fighting for 30 years now. I know some people would write into me and say, yeah, there's been wars that have been fighting for 50 years and 100 years and going on and on. But yeah, that's usually why they call them wars of attrition, because they're not a war to end the conflict. They're a war just for hate and vengeance and destruction and part of a cultural thing. But the rebels and also the Empire, as evil as they're trying to gain a goal. Who's going to control the galaxy? And I just have a problem with that for a war that's been going on. Actually, it would be 34 years, because if you got to count 30 years from Return of the Jedi, but another 4 going back to A New Hope, Episode 4, A New Hope. Okay. Now, also too, this is the second thing that would bother me, because it would actually undermine the victory at Endor in Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Because the Galactic Civil War, that was the name of the war that you saw in Episodes 4, 5, and 6, that took place. Keep in mind, the Clone Wars happened between Episode 2 and Episode 3. They ended at the end of Episode 3 when the Galactic Empire took over and the Emperor declared it as an empire rather than a republic. And then between those 20 years, that's when the rebellion built up, and when the official Rebel Alliance took its official name and became an actual organization that went to war against the Empire, that became known as the War of the Galactic Civil War. That took place over a 4-year period. The New Hope, beginning of New Hope, right? Actually, just right before the events of Episode 4, A New Hope. That's when the Galactic Civil War began. It was 3 years after Episode 4 till Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, 3 years time, and then after The Empire Strikes Back, there was a 1-year period between the Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, and then Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. So 4 years, because we're assuming at the end of Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, the death of the Emperor and Vader is that the essentially that the Empire was brought to its knees, essentially, was crushed, and the Rebel Alliance declared victory, was able to declare victory, and and with doing that, the New Republic was able to begin, was able to be established. And how do we know this for sure? Is because in spite of the fact that, which I think is better, but in spite of the fact that we get a lot of fans who gripe and bellyache over the additions that Lucas has made, I think a lot of them have been very beneficial and helpful to the entire saga. This is one of them. At the end of Return of the Jedi, not only do we see the celebration on Endor for the defeat of the Empire and the Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader, but we see several planets all over the galaxy celebrating. We see Bespin, and we see Tatooine, and we see Naboo, and then finally we even see Coruscant. And you can see in the picture with Coruscant, if you remember that scene at the end of Return of the Jedi, that not only they're celebrating, you see them knocking down the statue of the Emperor, the main statue of the Emperor, symbolizing his defeat over the galaxy and the defeat of the Empire. And that was a sign, clear sign, that at that time the galaxy. Now keep in mind when when the 6 movies were finished by 2005, Lucas wasn't planning to go on, and the main stuff for. They weren't going to be any new movies like the sequel trilogy, but a lot of the stuff that was going to continue, like the Clone Wars and other television series, would take place either before the movies or in between the trilogies or stuff like that. So that you wouldn't pretty much get to see television stories or movies future after Return of the Jedi. The only stuff that you would see for stories after Return of the Jedi would be the EU, but now they've been declared as legends because now Lucasfilm's been sold to Disney, and now they're going on with the sequel trilogy taking place many years later, many decades later, and they want the freedom to tell the stories as they want and not be tied down to the stories of the EU. Whether you like that or not, that's pretty much their thinking. But here's the problem, is that Lucas meant to teach, when you saw the celebration of all those planets, that Lucas meant to say that that was the victory, that the Sith were destroyed, the Empire was destroyed, and the entire galaxy was liberated from evil. Balance was brought to the Force, and the Empire was defeated, and all those planets were celebrating their liberation. Just like at the end of the Second World War, when the Germans retreated. The Germans surrendered to the Allies. You saw celebrating in the streets of Paris and London and New York and Washington, D.C. Everyone was coming out to celebrate the end of the war and the liberation of Europe from the Axis force. Well, the same thing was being said there, that the galaxy was liberated from the Empire. And I feel that if they're saying that the Empire is still around, and especially if they're saying that there is no New Republic, and this war has been going on for endless war of attrition, then that undermines everything that you saw in the victories of Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. And that's one of the things that concerns me. Now, some might write in and say, wait a minute now, even if we never got a sequel trilogy, and we only had the expanded universe to go on, there were stories like Timothy Zahn's Thrawn trilogy, or Kevin J. Anderson's the Jedi Academy trilogy, had factions of the Empire still trying to bring back the Empire. You know, Timothy Zahn, it was Grand Admiral Thrawn. He was trying his methods to bring the Empire back, and he wanted to become the Emperor of a new galactic empire since the time of Emperor and Vader. And after he was defeated, it was Admiral Dalla. She wanted to take the remnants of the Empire and build it up, conquer the New Republic, and build it up and become the leader of the Galactic Empire. So you do have that in the EU, and I do acknowledge that you do have these factions. And that would be okay. If that's the way they're going, essentially, if that's how they're going to explain the continuation of that you see some of the scenes, like the TIE fighters chasing after the Millennium Falcon, the and also the unit of troops, the stormtroopers, which I forgot to mention that they too appeared in in the trailer. But essentially, if they can explain it just like the EU did, that the Empire essentially at the end of Jedi was defeated, and the remnants of it, which were left, fled into a unknown part of space, or retreated to an unknown part of space, and they're trying, under a new leadership, trying to gain power back, and the New Republic has established, and they're trying to reach these guerrilla war with the New Republic. I can accept that, just like you saw in the EU. But if they're saying that the Empire wasn't defeated, other than the fact that the Emperor was dead, the Emperor was defeated, and the Darth Vader was defeated, but the Empire goes on as it currently existed in the movies, from the 6 movies, or rather the 3, episodes 4, 5, and 6, the original trilogy, it continued to exist as it did then, and just waging this endless war against the rebels, this war of attrition, then I would have a problem with that, because that would undermine everything that we saw in the 6 movies, specifically in the original trilogy, the victory we saw at the end of the original trilogy, the Return of the Jedi, with the Luke destroying, was able to defeat the Emperor and Darth Vader, and the destruction of the second Death Star, and the destruction of a lot of the major Star Destroyers that were a war fighting against the Rebel Alliance. It would throw that entire. I know some people think it might be nitpicking, but I really think it would throw that entire theme out, that entire storyline and events out. Now, I accepted that the fact of the things that we saw in the EU, they're not going to take literally, or they're not going to incorporate some of the stories and some of the events from the EU. I accept that, and I know the reasons why, and some of them I accept, some of them I have a hard time with. But the thing is I've come to accept that the EU legends are not going to be considered canonical with the movies and the Clone Wars series and the Rebels series. But I would not be able to accept, as part of a storyline for the sequel trilogy, undermining and destroying the storylines that were told in the continuity from any of the 6 movies or Star Wars: The Clone Wars series. I couldn't accept that, and that's probably one of the biggest ones, is to say that the Empire wasn't defeated in any way. They continue to go on as they did, essentially just like from Episode 4, New Hope, when Luke destroyed the first Death Star. Yes, they had a major victory, but that wasn't the end of the war. What these rumors are saying, some of these rumors are saying, is that the destruction of the second Death Star and the defeat of Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader were a victory for the rebels, but the war continued to go on and the Empire continued to exist. I would have a hard time. I just hope, like I said, they do it like they did. They do it like they did for Return of the Jedi. How they did. They do the events. If they're going to have the Empire still around, they do it more like they did from the EU, rather than go off in some other different direction. But with that being said, like I said, take that with a grain of salt, and take all these rumors with a grain of salt. We don't know how much of them are true. If all of them are true, some of them are true, or none of them are true. We'll find out soon enough, probably by next summer. But anyway, this is I consider this my Christmas blog. Only the reason is because I'm going to attempt to get another blog done before Christmas, but I'm not quite sure if I will. So I'm going to count this as my Christmas blog. And I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope that you found it helpful. And again, like I said to those who didn't want to view this, have any spoilers, and didn't want to hear any of the rumors, which is fine. I will say this again for those of you who did wait and listen to me rant on about the spoiler rumors, that if you like the content which you saw here, I encourage you to I encourage you to subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to try to continue to do more blogs, so please subscribe to my channel to get all the updates. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a good day. And in case I don't get the next blog done before Christmas, I do wish everybody a good Christmas and Happy New Year, and may the Force be with you.